Was there ever a piece that you had the opportunity to get that you regret not getting?
Oh God, yes. And if someone said no, you're a liar.
Yeah.
You are lying like no one's business.
Yes.
This at the time was probably the watch on my wrist, the Patek Neptune. When this was offered to me, it was probably a $10,000 watch. Mm-hmm. Okay. Today, nope. So I should have bought 3 of them. And because I love it so much, I wanted it in two-tone. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity to buy a two-tone one for like less than 10. And I throw up every time I think about it because I love this watch so much that I am one of those fools that would have this watch in two-tone and I would have it in gold because I love it that much.
Yeah.
The bracelet, the way it feels, whatever. It's
so unlike anything they do today.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the other. I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
It's so unlike everything they've done. And again, I've always been the one, even growing up when designer jeans were a thing, I was the one that was like, I ain't wearing Jordache. That's what everybody's wearing Jordache. Why do I want to be that way? And my mother was like,
contrarian.
Really? Yeah, exactly. I mean, we growing up, I remember my mom like saying like, these jeans are very expensive. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't even want them. And she's like, why not? Because my mother is a little bit of a conformist. She likes the whole like, what's the newest fad? I must have it.
Sure.
And I am dead opposite.
Wow.
And so my mom was like, what do you mean you don't want Jordache jeans? And I'm like, hell no. All those crazy girls in school were wearing those jeans. I don't want them. And like, I was the one wearing like my aunt's hand-me-down jeans. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? So yeah, I never conformed. Like Uggs, never put a pair of Uggs on my feet.
Good for you.
They are booties.
They do have Ugg booties.
They have Ugg booties, but those fuckers will never be on my feet.
Never gracing his feet.
Never.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I mean, like it's just I've always been that one. I mean, look at the way I look. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't conform. I never like to conform. I don't conform. I think the 12 years of Catholic school had something to do with it. You know what I mean? I might be damaged from it. I don't know. Yeah. So I've always been be you, not them.
Yes.
That's incredible. Be you, not them.
Yeah, I have a sign in my house. I wake up to it every morning.
I love that.
Be you,
It's your mantra.
not them. That's my mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
If you were to ask, like, what? Yeah, I live by that.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. My wife calls me a contrarian. She thinks I purposefully dislike things that everyone likes.
Okay.
I try to convince her that that's not the case. It just so happens that that's
Yeah.
how I'm built. Like,
Yeah.
I think I'm built
if
the
people
same way. I
gravitate
get
towards
that.
something, I'm like, let me find something else, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about this one and nothing being kind of like it, these guys know I kind of look for like oddball pieces. I like the obscure. I like the weird, the different.
Ben and I have gravitated to the same crazy ass Pateks that have been in the case. That I mean, we would rock them all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's
That's like that Cartier bag noir.
Oh.
With the
With the hobnail.
I was like, I need this.
He's
all
the
day.
only man that I've ever seen be able to actually pull that watch off.
I agree with
But
you.
that's because more men don't try.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
There we
That's,
go.
Yeah.
Again, that's another
Stop
show.
being scared.
That's a rabbit hole in its
Just put it
own.
on.
Yeah, it's you're right.
You have to own it. You have to own it. You
Yeah.
have to own it. You know, you really have to.
Men, I love, like, you're a big guy, okay? And I love a big guy that says to me, oh, I can't wear that. And I said, no, change your language.
Yeah.
You're not comfortable wearing that.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. You're not comfortable wearing that.
Yes.
I said, but, other men are. Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it just happens to be a vintage watch that's 34 millimeters.
Rashawn wears a 34 millimeter Tudor.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Oh, I know.
And it wears nicely on
but
his
that's
wrist.
just
It
it.
looks great.
I said you have to change your language. I say it all the time. I've said it to salespeople. I've said it to clients. I've said it to customers I don't even know. Change your language. And you immediately get people looking at you like, excuse me? And you're like, no. What I'm saying is, don't say it that way. Say what you really feel you're not comfortable. And there's something wrong with that. It's okay. You're not comfortable.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's like using words like can't and never. I tell people, you Don't use those words.
Yeah, no.
I
don't like
am guilty of that, and you're 100% right, because never, I mean, I don't know how many times I've said never, and I'm like, the next day I'm like, yeah, here I am buying another one. I know.
So you might have a pair of Uggs on next time. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
No, goddammit. No, I will not. No. Hey man, listen, if they actually did something I liked, would I buy it? Yes, 100%. I just mean like that boot that became like very, very popular, that like sort of moccasin looking thing,
Not a
whatever.
fan.
That's not me. But if UGG made something that I truly loved, I would buy it. I'm not against the brand. I think I was against the look.
Yes.
I was against that look. That's all. Every suburban housewife in their yoga pant and their like UGG boot.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah,
Oh, the Juicy Couture pants.
Oh,
Oh,
hell
God.
no. My ass is big enough. You don't need to put words on it. There's nobody needs that.
Revisiting
Yes.
some of the pieces that you brought. What's your favorite piece in your collection?
So the Cartier Pasha actually has a great story.
Okay.
Okay, so the Cartier Pasha, back in 2000 when I got a divorce, because we'll revert back to that. Don't get married at 23. I was divorced by 30 basically, and I was really dumb with money, So we
Sins
sold
of our youth.
Oh, yeah. So we sold our townhouse.
Okay.
And we split the money. And I said, I'm going to buy myself a watch. It's going to be my divorce gift.
There we go.
Okay. So I'm going to be independent, a divorce gift. And I didn't know what I wanted, but I did know that I wanted a two-tone watch, because nobody was buying two-tone.
Yes.
Okay. And I wanted a specific size. And I 38 millimeter happens to be my favorite size. 37, 38 on my wrist, I love. So I ran the watch department at Hamilton Jewelers, and we're doing an inventory. And I took it as a task to rearrange all the boxes in the store. Okay. Our box situation was out of control. If you go to any retailer and you ask the retailer, what's your biggest problem in watches? It's the box situation. Okay.
Yes.
It just is, it. That's the way it is. Right. So I'm downstairs in our basement in jeans, literally in jeans, crawling on the floors, picking shelves, picking them apart, redoing them, and this and everything. And there was a Cartier box that was under the stairwell in, no joke, 6 inches of dust.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. It was disgusting, right? So I crawl under the stairs, freaking out that, if a bug touched me, I was done. If a rat touched me, I was done. I was done. I would have died under those stairs, right?
Yes.
So I get the box, I scurry out, and lo and behold, in the box, this watch.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. So I go running upstairs because I'm all proud of myself. I'm like, I found a Cartier under the stairs, So my boss, Mike Hopper, looks at it and he goes, huh. We wrote that off years ago, Kelly. That was gone.
Wow.
We figured someone stole it, or we wrote it off 2 years ago.
Wow.
That was a watch under the stairs literally for 2 years.
Wow.
Okay? And he said to me, he goes, it's written out of stock, but he goes, what I will do is I will sell it to you for cost. Because, I can't just give it to you. That's an expensive watch. And he's like, and so I'll sell it to you for cost. And I'm like, done.
Wow.
So I bought the watch, and that was because I figured, it was kind of a fun thing. It was hiding under the stairs for 2 years in 6
That's a
inches
cool
of
story.
dust. And so, that was my gift to myself. So that technically is my first luxury watch.
This was your first luxury watch.
I owned a Tag Heuer before that. I owned a Maurice Lacroix before that. But that was my first, I bought it myself.
So what I love about this piece, in addition to your story, is that it's quartz.
Yep.
I love that because and that what you just said, your first luxury watch.
Yes.
Because many people refuse to equate quartz and luxury.
Yes, they do.
To them, it can't be in the same sentence.
Yeah.
And it can.
It totally
It
can.
should be.
It can. It
Absolutely.
100% can, because you have to appreciate these companies for everything that they do.
100%.
And Cartier's finishing, and look at those cabochon sapphires on the pushers.
Beautiful.
I mean, this is a drop dead gorgeous watch, and
Yeah.
and I got to be honest with you. If you looked at the time, if you looked at the automatic version of this at that time, the dial wasn't as pretty.
I was gonna say that dial, like that's a nice patina on it. It's kind of like,
It's guilloche.
yeah.
And the registers are, again, it's a blatant two-tone watch. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
blatant. And it's a fabulous look. And then
Yeah.
when the automatic version was like, I believe at the time, the automatic version in steel was like monochromatic. It wasn't as beautiful,
Yes.
but it didn't pop the way this popped. So.
Was the dial originally white, or did it always have that ivory tint?
No, it did always have that ivory tint.
It looks
but you're coming from the
natural.
right direction. Like
Yeah.
when something patinas that beautifully,
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
It goes that ivory, but no, that was always the color.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And because Cartier dials, were never stark white. If you look at a Tank Francais when it came out, when you look at a Panther when it came out, these were always ivory cream soft, like a crane stationary kind of look. Really, really beautiful.
That's awesome.
And so even when something was introduced to for Cartier, even like back in the 90s, 2000s, it always looked like an old watch.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I always have appreciated about Cartier.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
I love that.
Literally lost under a stairwell in 6 inches of dust, probably with a rat. I don't even know. It was disgusting. Maybe that rat was wearing it.
saved
I
it
don't
for
know.
himself.
It
Rat was wearing it.
disgusting. It was so nasty.
You've also got, which I think is incredibly interesting,
Yeah.
and happens to be one of my favorite watches.
Yeah.
We were literally
We
talking
spoke
about this
about that.
several hours ago.
Yeah.
The Rolex Explorer 2 Polar Dial.
Also engraved.
Also engraved.
Wow.
To you from us.
Yes.
I won't ask who.
A bunch of really special guys.
That's incredible.
To celebrate a moment in my life. A bunch of guys got together. And one of my lunatic collectors at the time, the stipulation was, if you're going to buy this watch for me, it has to come from my friend John, because he was sitting on like 90,000 of these, because he was collecting them at the time for like $4,000.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
If only. If
Yeah, I
only
know.
they were still
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Those days are over.
Uh-huh. So a bunch of guys got together, and I made them buy it off of John, and they presented it to me. I wasn't expecting the engraving, but
Wow.
yeah, it was a bunch of guys all got together.
What do you love about this watch?
I think, I love the fixed bezel.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's 2 time zones and it forces you to know military time.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Because I suck at it, but
Yeah, it does.
I love that. I love it. I love.
You got to do the math.
To me, an Explorer, it's got to be a white dial too.
Yes.
It's got to be white.
Oh, agreed.
It's got to be a white dial.
100%.
White dial. The
100%.
loom. I just think it's like the most perfect Rolex.
I do too.
Yeah, I do. I
really
I
do.
do.
It's
And
the
I was
only one
literally
that's-
saying
yeah.
this to Rashawn earlier today. We were looking at one,
Yeah.
and I was like,
It's
"Man,
the
this
only
is
one
what
that's
I
kept its-
really, really want."
I love this watch. Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
It is the most. To me, it's the best design they've ever done.
I agree. I love it.
And it is damn near perfect. Like, it is one of the best tool watches ever designed.
Agreed.
Yeah, it hasn't changed
Agreed.
since
I love
And
it.
it
since
doesn't
its
need
inception.
to change.
No,
It's
it's like it legit has never
incredible
changed.
every way, and in so many ways. When you think about Rolex today, is kind of the antithesis to how people view them.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Also, a watch that sat in the case that nobody wanted.
Sure,
Yeah.
I believe it.
So in the late 90s, when I started selling watches, I started selling watches in 1997. In 1997, they sat in the case. Nobody wanted them,
That's
And
the only Rolex to me that still speaks to what Rolex really is.
100%.
Yeah, we said that all the
Yeah.
time. It
That is a
screams
Okay.
their
tool.
DNA.
It does
Okay,
its
you want to
job.
hear something fantastic?
I would love to.
So we were at the U.S. Open this year, and the old president of Rolex, that was on his wrist.
Of course.
And the best part is when we started to have a conversation about it, his and mine are the same year.
Wow.
So I was like, that's cool.
That's really cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like one of those moments where the client that I had taken to the US Open heard me having this conversation, and when he turned around, he goes, Kel, seriously, your chest is so puffed out at this point. Like, put yourself away.
It's a flex.
I was literally, I flexed so hard. It was like ridiculous. And I had the moment, and I was like, all right, back to normal. What do you want for lunch? I'll get it for you. Don't sit down.
funny.
You know, you enjoy the match.
Kelly Yoch.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful
that's
story.
awesome.
That was cool. That was very cool. And the wife was like, oh dear, isn't that nice? Like, and I was just like, yeah. And the husband's like, yeah. Like, she and I have a thing. We're good. It was
Wow.
That was fun. That was
This
kinda
is
cool.
the beauty of watch collecting is like that we could go from piece to piece and you have all these amazing and wonderful stories and memories about these pieces. To me, this is what it's about. This is the icing on the cake,
Yes.
if you will, right?
Yes.
Because when you are passionate about collecting, you feel like a kid again a little bit.
100%.
You know, and it's that thing that we have that makes us feel really youthful, and everything else kind of passes you by because you're honed in. And then when you can attach a moment in time to them, then it sort of brings you forward again.
100%.
Right? And you realize your mortality and where you've come and how far you've gone, and you're appreciative of a lot of these experiences.
Yes.
Moving on to sort of your industry life, you talked about having a Me Too moment.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I want to ask you is, how have you managed to find success in a male-dominated industry?
To say that I haven't used femininity, because I'm not the most feminine woman you've ever met. Let's face that. That's okay. But to use it to your advantage, to be able to tap into a man's emotions, to be able to tap into a woman's emotions when she's, buying a gift. Women are good at that.
Yeah.
Women, I think, there's typically when you talk about someone's softer side, you think when you say softer side to a man, you almost think like his feminine side.
Sure.
So it is something that's natural. You know what I mean? It's natural. It's okay. So I think I've used it to my advantage because there's not many of me, and so there will be. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of females now in this industry, and I am so proud of all of them.
It's
you know
awesome.
what I mean? It's amazing. So. I've had to work harder. Yeah. I've had to prove myself more.
Yes.
And I've had to really suppress, the emotion when there is a man sitting in front of you saying like, well, I'd prefer to work with a man. I've actually had that. The fact that you've actually had those moments where people have said that to you, you're like, what?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what year is this?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
We would sometimes, a coworker of mine and I would have a little bit of a, Saturday afternoons when the elevators, would open up, and you'd watch the customers look at the left desk and the right desk. I was always the left desk. That was my spot, okay? And you would watch a man get off the elevator, and you would watch him look at me and then immediately look at the man and go to the right.
Wow.
And it was a very natural thing. I don't ever want to say that they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I think it was very natural because of where they were.
Yes.
They were in a watch salon.
Yes.
If they were in a jewelry salon, I bet you $10 that they would look at my male coworker.
Oh, yeah.
And they would have been like, "Oh no, I need to go to her."
Yes.
And again, I don't think it was done on purpose. And I think, if I were buying a car, I think, I might even walk into the showroom and I might if I had the choice, I might go to the man just because it's subconscious.
Yeah.
It's subconscious. I don't think that we're still conscious of what we do. We're not conscious of actions sometimes.
There's unconscious bias.
Yeah, there's unconscious bias.
So it's a real thing.
And I think when you sit that person down and you actually say, "Do you know you did this?" I bet you they go, "Oh,
they don't realize it."
No, I don't.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where I've just had to work harder,
Yeah,
and because
yeah.
I never, I wasn't one that could get off by being the thin, gorgeous girl. I was always like the funky, weird one, that was like not the, you know what I mean? So I guess I've always played on that too. That I've always had a look, I've always had, something interesting about me aesthetically, that you might be drawn to or not be drawn to, whatever, it's fine. But yeah, I've had to work harder. I've just had to simply work harder. That's all. It's okay.
I can definitely attest to your testimony because, I remember when I was applying for jobs when I was, a young adult. I had to be probably about 20 years old, and I love watches. I wanted to apply for Tourneau.
Yeah.
I wanted to apply for Tourneau. I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
I got to the front of the the boutique, and I looked inside, and I had like my suit. I was sharp. I had my resume. I was ready. I was so confident. I wanted to walk through the door. I literally turned around.
You couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it.
You would have been on my staff because I interviewed people.
Yes.
And I would have made it very comfortable for you because listen to me. I got to tell you, in my career,
yes,
the first time I saw a black man behind the counter was only a few years ago.
That's what I was going to get at.
Seriously.
Really?
Now, I had a beautiful, drop-dead, gorgeous black woman working for me.
Yes.
And again, I hired her because she had been in retail for a few years and she was selling clothing. And I hired her not because she was drop-dead gorgeous,
yes,
but because she knew retail. I read her resume and then I sat her down and I talked to her. Now, she wound up being a star because she had the extra.
Sure.
And it was fine.
Doesn't hurt.
And listen, when I was working for Tourneau, we took care of a lot of the 76ers.
Oh, wow.
And so the 76ers would come into Iguodala was our client, and
hey, you got a funny story about Iguodala.
I do. I do.
I didn't know if you could share it, but
I gotta tell you, I have always been attracted to the bad boy. Yes. Okay, that's sort of my thing.
Sure.
Okay, now if my husband were to walk in here, you'd laugh your asses off because that man has got Amish in him. Okay, there is nothing bad about what I'm married to. Okay, but I at the time and to this day, I fell in love with a man that was actually a nice person. Imagine that, right? Yeah. So Iguodala comes in, and he and his boys would buy Breitlings. Okay. And they would go to South Street.
Right.
And they would jack these things. They would put 10-carat bezels.
Wow.
Okay.
Bust
on these
down.
watches. They looked like UFOs.
Yeah,
okay. Like
the
the bezel would overextend the watch to the point where you're like, man, what are you doing? Like, you look ridiculous, right? So he did. He came in with a two-tone chronomat, mother of pearl, diamond dial. It has a jacked bezel. Okay, it's hanging over the watch, 10 carats. Wow. Right. So he comes in and he says to me, Kelly, I can't figure out why water got in my watch. And I'm like, dude, are you serious? like, are you serious? Like, of course. So Iguodala is actually, he is. I mean, I haven't had interaction with him in a long time, but one of the nicest, sweet, very quiet, quiet men. And he's with his posse, and he's got like a bunch of guys and they're all carrying on and he's the quiet one, what I mean? And there, a couple of the guys were on the team and whatnot. And then he had like, a couple of his boys with him and whatever. And so my husband at the time, I was dating him. Okay. Mm-hmm. And nobody knew because we had to keep that quiet. And my husband is 5'5".
Okay.
Okay. My husband goes in the back. He gets a stepladder. He whips it open with one hand. He climbs up the stepladder. He is now in Iguodala's face with his finger going, man, you're not listening to the lady.
Yeah.
She's trying to tell you something.
What?
And all of his boys are like, this boy is out of control.
Wow.
What is
I
wrong
love
with this?
whipping out the stepladder with
Like
one hand.
Let's
do this.
Right, and he climbed up that stepladder and he's in his face with the finger,
Respect.
like pointing in his face, and he's like, "You're not listening to the lady." And I looked and I sat there and I went, "Oh shit! Now I gotta I like this guy.
I'm gonna marry this man.
God damn it! Like, I did not want this, and now I have it. Like I don't want to do this." And Iguodala's like, your boy's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, Paul, please get down off the stepladder. We don't put our fingers in people's faces. And his boys were all, they were like, I had to pick them up off the floor. Like they were like rolling and they were like, that man likes you. And I'm like, and again, we're playing it down, right? So we're like, no, ha ha. And Iguodala's like, no, man, that guy really likes you. I was like, no, ha ha, I'm laughing. And on our staff at the time, and it was only 3 of us working that night because it was a slow night. It was like a Tuesday night or something. And on the staff, the other guy that was working that night was actually a bodybuilder.
Okay.
I physically couldn't get him off the floor because he was laughing so hard. And he was like, that little dude is like, he's crazy. And I'm like, that little dude is your assistant manager, so let's
Yes.
I was like, you might be a big boy, but like, let's,
yes.
I'm like, come on now, be respectful. And he's like, well, I don't know, but he just put his finger in Iguodala's face, and I don't know how we're gonna handle that. And I'm like, yeah, the letter's probably coming. I'm like, fortunately, Iguodala, like, he did listen.
Yes.
And actually he's a fine watch collector.
Yes.
I mean, over the years he's actually put together a beautiful collection of watches. Wow. But let's just say that he started, a little rocky.
Sure, yeah.
A little rocky.
A
little rocky.
Yes.
But we all start a little rocky.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, you get
trial and error. It's
Yeah.
all trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
It's all
that's the
trial and
beauty of
error.
it.
But I wanted to murder the guy on South Street that was putting these bezels on these watches.
Oh,
You
had
probably
Yeah.
taking him for everything
you
too.
should have seen this garbage.
Oh,
It
my
was
goodness.
amazing. It was
Basura.
like literally hanging over the watch.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, we
It's
still
like,
see some of that.
oh,
Let's be honest.
we see
Beyond,
it.
I'm sure.
We
Yeah.
see it. We see it. Is crazy.
Yeah.
I can't even
some
share. We can't even
ridiculous
share
shit.
anymore.
Yeah, it can. I mean, what I've seen in my lifetime is
Oh,
is
in
amazing.
Orlando, I told them I saw
Oh,
somebody
yeah,
wearing a
that-
bust-down Tudor.
Yeah.
Black Bay?
Oh, Black Bay
Bay
41 with the
Yeah.
silver dial.
Bust down.
Like diamonds everywhere.
Why?
I don't
like,
know. I
why?
couldn't believe it.
Why,
Well, no,
sir?
I
couldn't
need to
believe
believe
it.
you know what's even crazier? Polo G had bust down a polo watch.
But why?
There you go.
Why do we do why?
You
why
never seen it?
No.
Yo,
Just
It ain't
why?
right.
we got listen. We gotta pull
It
it
ain't
up. We
right.
gotta
We'll
pull it
pull
up.
it up. We'll pull it up.
ain't
We'll
Ralph.
pull it up. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
he-
I thought that was the most Florida thing. Like Florida.
That's
Canadian
funny.
watch.
Florida
That
man.
is
He's
very
very
Florida
Florida.
man.
Florida man.
It
Bust
is.
down Tudor.
It is,
Black
that
Bay
is.
41.
That's
Black
good
Bay
though.
41. Bust it down.
But please.
Continuing on, how did you end up at Tiffany, and how did you become the gatekeeper for Tiffany Stamped Pateks? Pateks.
Well, I took a gamble with my career because I heard a rumor that Patek was possibly going to build this salon inside of Tiffany.
Okay.
And I knew, because this is a thing, I knew that Patek and Tiffany wouldn't hire away from a competitor. So I took a real gamble with my career, and I went and I managed the jewelry department at Saks Fifth Avenue in Bala Cynwyd.
Okay.
And I knew at that point then I would at least have a shot. And when this did come to fruition, I remember calling the president of Patek Philippe at that time. It was Larry Pettinelli, and I remember saying to him, like, dude, you've got to get me in here. And he's like, Kel, I'm telling you something right now. They're going through headhunters, like they're doing the right thing, and I can't do anything for you. This is on your merit. Like, you've got to be able to do this, and so send your resume to the headhunter. So I did. And I followed up and I tortured this guy like no one's business. And I had like the 2 phone interviews, and I get in front of them, and they actually, it was one of the most despicable interviews I've ever had. This guy proceeds to put a 5196 Calatrava in front of me and test me. Do you know what this is? I'm like, sir, is this part of the interview? And he's like, well, I just, and stutter. And because I guess he didn't expect me to snap back and say, is this part of the interview? And I said, are you actually testing me? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm about to smoke your ass.
There
I'm
we
like,
go.
don't do this.
Yeah.
Like, do not do this. And so I smoked him. I not only told him like what a 5196 was, I told him the caliber that was in the watch. I told him the millimeter size of the lugs. I told him what the buckle millimeter size was. I told him how much it was. I told him every metal it came from. I told him where the 5196 came from. I told. And then I'm like, is that good enough? And he was like,
yeah, that's good enough.
yeah, that's good. I was like, are we like, that's gross. Like, that's just gross. Like, he tested me, and I was kind of like, ew. Like, we're going to do that? I'm like, all right, fine. So I smoked him, and I was actually put in front of Tiffany. I was, I dyed my hair one color. I bought myself a conservative black suit because I knew they wouldn't hire me. And I went for the interview, and I was their first hire.
Wow.
And very proud of that. I was their first hire, and then I showed up to work the first day looking the way I do.
There we go.
And they were like, wait a minute, we hired you? And I was like, yeah. And so, so there I was, and I just was so passionate about the brand that the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I was very passionate about the brand. I knew my things. I knew my stuff. I pride myself on customer relations. So that's when you're selling something extra high luxury, that all matters.
Yeah.
And how you treat people, and whatnot. And so then it became, things got out of control. I mean, so that salon opened in 2008, and the market just went bananas.
Yeah.
And we designed, in 2012, we designed a watch that to this day, you can look it up. It's the 5396G/012. We designed that watch for the 5th anniversary of the salon, and it exploded. And it really the whole market went bananas. You know what I mean? So then it became, we had Aquanauts in the case. We had Nautiluses in the case. We had all of these things in the case. But then it just exploded. And then with Patekaholic, hanging his hat on the fact that, he knew the brand and he was going to push the brand in the Middle East. And then everybody had to have, because he had to have, and then he had to have, and then this had to have, and there's that, and then it just completely got out of control. And we as a team had a knack for putting pieces with the right people.
Right.
And if we were to look at a percentage, if you were to actually break this down into scientific, study, and you were to look at that time, there were 6 branches of Tiffany that carried Patek. I guarantee you that New York had the lowest turn on, what you would find in the gray market and the aftermarket. Because we were just doing such a great job of putting them in the right hands of the right people, the people that deserve them, the people that, you know what I mean? And so it then just sort of, it really started to blossom and take off. And I think I became the face of the salon because of simply, I was this cartoon character that, became a thing. It was like, she doesn't look like other people. She doesn't talk like other people. She's not really the person that you would think of that is representing the most conservative brand in the world. So I think it all became sort of cartoonish in a way.
Yeah.
And to my benefit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To my benefit, but it was,
you branded yourself.
I branded myself.
Yeah.
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 I did.
I want to ask. I have like a 2-part question. So first, I want to talk about the Kelly strap.
Oh, the Yoch strap.
The Yoch strap. And then secondly, I think maybe this isn't really like a question, but it's kind of like a statement
Okay.
that maybe you can kind of answer to. I've always known people, it doesn't matter what they buy, it has to have your name on it. Like, I brought this from Kelly. Doesn't matter what it is. It's Tudor. It could be a Timex. It could be
Isn't that weird?
I brought that from Kelly.
Yeah, I
and you're
know.
like,
It's gotta make you feel good.
No, listen.
exactly. How does that make you feel? Like, what is that? How does it make you feel?
First of all, it's overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. So let's talk about the Yoch strap. So the Yoch strap, let's go there first, since that was your first part. So the Yoch strap is simply all brands, not Patek, all brands sometimes do not make the right decision. Okay? And they put something on a strap that should be on like a $3 Timex. Okay? And all brands, again, not Patek, only all brands make this mistake. And you think to yourself, who's in the design department that day? Like, were they all off? Like, what was going off? Because, because, you know, you think to yourself, here's a blue watch and somebody put this on like a yellow and green strap that just has nothing to do with anything. You know what I mean? Like, and so, or whatever. And so I started to really take the watch and I only did what I thought was right. It was only, you know, but it became a thing where people actually agreed with me. So it started with the 5522 was a Calatrava pilot's watch, if you will, a pilot's fashion, that for the 2017 Grand Exhibition here in New York. It was a America only piece. And it was, you know, it was a $22,000 Calatrava, and it came on a sort of saddle tan strap.
Okay.
I hated it.
Yeah.
Okay, I hated it. Lots of people loved it because it went with the watch.
Yeah.
I have this thing. I am very old school when it comes to Patek. I believe that it belongs on a croc strap. So you can make a croc strap casual. So I did it on a matte navy with neon green stitching. Okay, so the lume in the dial, the numbers like popped off the dial when you put this strap on the watch. It just exploded, and it was like the same lug size for a 5524 pilot's watch. So I ordered a bunch of them, and we started to deliver the watch. And my greatest story about that is a dude in London saw the strap and flew to New York for me to put it on his watch.
Damn.
Crazy. Like, that's when you have so much money that you're like, oh, it's Saturday morning. I think I'm just going to fly to New York to get a strap.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, all right. But, you know, but he did.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, I mean, listen, you could take a white piece of paper and, you know, sketch a K on it, and it could be like the greatest thing ever in the world because somebody thinks it is and they blow you up.
Yeah.
You know, and so I started to do this thing, and now my customers are like, I need you to yock it out.
Yock it out.
Great.
Yeah, like I
love
need you.
that.
I need you to put, like, I don't like the strap that Oris did, or I don't like the strap that Tudor did, or whatever. I need you to yock it out.
What?
So they come to you as like a curator now.
Yeah, so like what I've done with a couple of customers is in New York, we have Jean Rousseau, and I've gone with them, and I take 4 or 5 of their watches, and I design straps with them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun. I love what I do. So, I mean, that's part of the thing. You get a lunch and you sit and you talk about things, and then you go and you do the strap thing, and that's a day. You know what I mean? It's fun.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just became like something sort of hilarious. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah,
Knock it out.
and it's again, there's nothing that's a bigger compliment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, because these people not only have they proven that they trust your opinion in watches, but now in trying to sort of style it, yock it out.
yeah.
Yes.
It's like they're gonna come to you and say like, "Yo, help me like kind of put this together. Like, how should I wear this?"
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It's
it's just
awesome.
another
It's
level to
cool.
like watch
Yeah, it's
collecting that I think
it's
is really
just-
awesome.
It's just cool. Yeah, it's just getting a brand new pair.
I mean,
of
I go
shoes
to
for your
these guys to
watch.
yock it out. Like
Yeah.
I consult them about straps because at heart I'm a bracelet dude. But then sometimes you might get a little bored. You want to swap it out.
Yeah,
and
but
then I hit
all
up
three
these
of you
dudes.
have been in the fashion industry, and like you three are men that I would go to for fashion advice. You know what I mean? Like, so you three have a leg up on most guys. I mean,
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
there's a lot of
Appreciate
people
that.
running around wearing things that they just shouldn't be wearing. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So
Yes,
it's like,
yes.
yeah. So no, if I were styling somebody, again, knowing your strong points, knowing your weak points is also a great thing. And and
Huge
if I were,
asset.
yeah, I mean, that's, I would come to you guys for clothing advice. So,
Oh, thank you.
Especially the jean man over here. Like,
I just
can't help
if I'm buying a pair of
myself.
jeans, obviously. I'm gonna-
Yes.
You talked a little bit about, how what you did sort of interacted with the gray market. How do you, what do you think, what are your thoughts on the gray market and sort of the role that social media has played in transforming that for better?
Social
or for
media
worse?
has been the greatest thing that's ever happened and the worst thing that's ever happened rolled into one.
Yeah.
It is, for me personally, social media has helped me sell things that I would never have sold. It reaches audience. It's global. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
On the other hand, then you have the posers and the fools that are going into retailers, putting things on their wrists that aren't even theirs.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
acting like they're theirs,
Yeah.
and then the mass frenzy because why do we all believe what we see? Like I still can't get over these full-grown men
Yes.
believing what they see. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not even real. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not real. That's photoshopped. That's you can see that he's at a store trying something on. What
Yeah.
the hell's the matter with you?
Yeah, I don't get it. I've seen that.
And like, and what's even better is the anger that it invokes.
Yeah.
Like, you just wasted all this energy screaming at me that this guy has something that you don't have, that you've waited for when he don't even have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
We've
why
seen-
are
we've
we-
seen grown men have tantrums. Like,
Yeah.
5 years
No.
old. It's
Yeah, and I'm like,
ridiculous.
what is, guys, back up.
Yes.
Back up. Like this, again, Rashawn, Ben, the three of us can actually tell you that we've seen
Yes.
temper tantrums, like throwing themselves on the floor, like
my
kicking and
God.
screaming like a
Oh,
2-year-old.
yeah, legitimately.
Legitimately. And like, guys, you're looking at a picture on Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the head of a company. Do you understand that?
Wow.
Like, you're the head of a company,
Yeah.
and you are like literally you're trolling on the gram, if you will, and you come across a picture that's not even real.
It's not real.
Like, calm down. Like, I don't know how many of those conversations I've had.
Yes.
Where I'm like, first and foremost, can we talk Kelly to Dan? Like, can we just have that conversation? Okay, I'm going to take the professionalism out of it. What in the hell is actually the matter with you?
Yeah.
What is the matter with you? Like,
She'll do it.
and I will do it.
She'll
Like,
do it.
I don't understand. Like, you're trolling, on a Saturday night on your couch, and like you just ruined that moment with your wife and kids
Yeah.
because you're so fixated on something you saw that's not even real.
Yes.
Wait till Monday morning, please. Like, I mean, can we? You know what I mean? And then my phone's blowing up because it's like,
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you're like, you're full grown. You run companies. You're heads of industries. What's the matter with you?
It's a good question.
Yes.
So
What is the matter
so
with you?
Instagram, if it's used for fun, if it's used for passions, if it's used in the proper way, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Sure.
But most of us, quote unquote, aren't using it the way we should be using it. But that's anything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
People can enjoy a fine wine, a nice bourbon, a beautiful tequila, and you can enjoy it or you can abuse it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's in anything.
Yes.
Once you get it to the abuse level,
Yeah.
that's when it's over.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. So we've seen that, and I'm sure every industry has seen that.
Yeah.
So
You know what I wanna ask as well is like, because now we are talking about social media and like I guess, another reality. I think this is probably like improv, but
Okay.
how do you feel about, this like metaverse and like
Oh, God.
secondary
I knew it.
universe, like
I knew it.
another universe
I knew
being
it.
layered
Glorious.
on top of? Because
What
we've
in the
spoken
hell
about
is
this.
the matter with you?
No, because we've talked about
That's
we
what
talked
I
about
think.
it on this
Sure.
show. We
did,
talked about
we
it on
did,
this
we
show, and
did.
just like how now there's like NFT watches
I can't.
selling for
No.
22,000,
$75,000.
75,000,
But this is-
22,000, like
I can't.
This is a real thing.
But it's a real thing.
And so,
I can't.
But what this is a product of the gray market.
Yes, it is.
100%. A product
Yes.
of the gray market, social media,
Yeah.
and what we've seen with cryptocurrency.
Why
Yes.
are we this bored? Like, why
has
are we
anybody
this-
brought this to your attention though?
Yes, but why are we this bored? Like, I can't have the conversation about it because, well, listen, I'll be honest with you, I don't even get it. I don't understand
We're
it.
still
Like, I
trying to
don't get
wrap our
it.
heads
Yeah,
around it. But
yeah.
what's happening right now is really interesting. You have people who are selling off real pieces in their collection to buy NFTs,
Yeah.
pictures
Right.
of fake watches,
What?
to later flip
What?
for a profit.
Yes.
What's the matter with you? All of you people, what's the matter with you?
Social media has created something where it's like everyone can look at anything as a commodity now.
Oh yeah.
And it's like I can buy, trade, and sell anything.
Anything.
Nothing is off limits.
Yes.
And so that's the byproduct of technology, the gray market, all of these things, and there's a love. I have a love-hate sort of relationship with it. I love to see
100%.
where technology is going and how young people are embracing technology and becoming entrepreneurs. But what I hate to see is how everything is becoming like increasingly like discardable. Like nothing almost matters.
Yeah.
And it's just like
Yeah.
as long as it, turns over a buck, it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that I don't like, and I don't like that about what's happening to the watch industry.
I
Yes.
happen to agree with all
You
of
can't
that.
even sell a watch unless it is trading
And
up.
so it
Yes.
kind of, and we were talking about, I'm not going to say, but a watch that I bought recently. And I love it, and it was the watch that I wanted, but I kind of feel gross wearing it.
Yes.
I know.
Or
I get it.
not necessarily wearing it, but the idea that I have it makes me feel a little like I enjoy it when I wear it. But then it's like, I don't want to run into anyone else that's wearing the same watch or the same brand that I know doesn't share the same passion for it that I do. I don't want to associate with them.
Yes.
I want to hide it.
It's because those people have because it's the fear of missing out. That's what social media does.
Oh God,
It creates a fear of missing out. It's like, oh, if 10 people I follow post it or have it, then now I have to have it.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, I hate it too, and it's sad. And again, if we use social media for just fun, guys, it's just
Yeah.
fun. This is fun.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's just listen, I've seen things on social media that I've learned from social media. I've learned things.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so if it's an opportunity to learn something, there are some really great accounts out there
Oh,
that like
100%.
that are educational, that teach, that whatever. And like again, my friend Jasm, Patekaholic, look at how many followers he has. Look at what he's built just because of passion.
Yes.
And there are car accounts like that.
Oh,
there
yeah.
are motorcycle accounts like that. There are tattoo, things.
This is why I love what we're seeing with like a lot of these smaller indie brands that are popping up.
Oh God, yeah.
And they're doing like some of the coolest stuff.
Yeah.
We talk about like Baltic
Yes.
a lot, which I think is like really cool. And then there's other stuff that you brought to our attention.
Yeah. Undone.
I mean,
Electronics.
the electricians
The
was
electronics,
one that you
yeah.
got recently that I think is like really, really cool.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it brings me back to my childhood. It's just like, it's so much fun.
Yes.
And so like that aspect of it, of timekeeping and watchmaking, I think is really cool. Cause it's creating like these sort of like these pockets of other communities of people that are
Agreed.
really passionate
Yep.
about whatever it is that they're doing in that circle. But then when you get out of it, you look at it large, it's like, you might own some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And you just happen to run into a guy who like has a yacht master and he sees an electrician's on your wrist and he's like, and it's like, you didn't even know what?
Yes.
Yeah.
What? Like, what?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
really?
Yeah.
One of the guys that reached out to me on social media a long time ago flew to New York just to meet me.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a meeting happen in New York that, he made a meeting happen so that it was another excuse to come. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And to this day, this gentleman is one of my closest friends.
Oh, wow.
And so I have met people
Yeah.
through social media that I wouldn't have had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've made some unbelievable connections. I've sold watches because of it. Today I was in the Grand Seiko boutique, and I threw up some pictures, and there was a lot of interest.
Yes.
And that was wonderful. That
Yeah.
that gave me like, oh my God, there's hope. Oh,
There really
you know what I mean?
is,
Because
yeah.
have you seen the new gold piece with that brown?
Yeah, the wooden dial.
The wooden,
Yeah.
it's spectacular. I mean, you know what I mean? It's and again, aesthetics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I stopped and literally dead in my tracks, and I'm like, that dial is sick.
I
You
love
know what I mean? Like, and so,
Grand Seiko fans.
Yeah.
oh God, yeah.
They are so passionate about Grand Seiko. So knowledgeable.
They're like the Panerai guys back in the day, the Paneristes.
Yep.
I mean, this was like, yeah, these guys were out of control, and I loved it.
It's
You know
so
what I mean?
funny too
Yeah.
because Kelly, the things that you're bringing up kind of brings validation to this show because you have such an amazing reputation, career. We've learned so much from you.
Still more to learn.
Every
Every day.
Yeah, of course, and that's also why why we did the show because we are enthusiasts. No one here is experts. Some of us are in the industry, some of us aren't. But like at the same time, it's like the love is still there.
Yeah.
That's undisputed.
That's how you know. Listen, I can't tell you how many days I got up and I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? I hate everyone. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But like, those days have happened more so than none. But I mean,
Yes.
but it's if you keep going back
Yes.
and you keep thinking to yourself, when the words come out of your mouth, like there's, I can't do anything else. This is what I know.
Yes.
That's a bad statement, but it's also a great statement because you know what you're good at.
You found yourself.
You found yourself. So you know what you're good at, and you just need to hone those skills, and you need to get through the muck. You
I
know
feel like
what I mean?
that
Like,
happens to me every 3 weeks.
yes. Oh my God, I can't believe you said
What am
3
I
weeks.
doing?
I say every
can't do
3 weeks.
anything
I said it's not
else.
even a month. I can't get to a month. 3 weeks. I'm like, Jesus, what am I doing? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think I have just one last question for you, me personally. The guys might have some more questions.
Yes.
And this might be the toughest question. It would be for me. But if you could only keep one watch in your collection, what would it be and why?
I think it's the Cartier Pasha
Okay.
because I bought that myself.
Yeah.
And it was my first, and I was going to sell that so many times, and I never did. And I think that watch just represents something to me. It was, I found myself, I found the career I really wanted to be in.
This is when you knew it was real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew, I was also at rock bottom. I bought that watch with money that should have gone to 19 other things.
Yeah.
I had to file for bankruptcy. I had to move in with a roommate who's my best friend to this day. And I had to, eat the ramen and the grilled cheese sandwiches and and share the rent and sell other things to pay that rent. Wow. I was at rock bottom legitimately. And that watch, I literally would be living on the street and I'd be wearing that watch. Yeah. Because it meant something to me career-wise.
Yes.
That's
and
amazing.
It meant something to me as an independent woman.
Yes.
That I didn't need a man. I didn't need the support of another human being. I needed to know that no matter what, I was always going to be able to get myself through anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, you know, my ex-husband, we had the most amicable divorce you've ever seen in your life. He is a good man. I still speak to him to this day.
Okay.
He was even at my 50th birthday party. He did the music. And he, you know, he knows this watch. Like, he knows, you know what I mean? Like, and this is something that's just, it's very important to me as a woman.
Yeah.
And as a woman in this industry.
Yeah.
It just represents a lot to me.
This is what saw you through the other side. You
Yes.
went through everything with this piece.
Yes.
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 That's amazing. It has me sort of thinking about my watch collection and what means the most to me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I don't know which. I mean, I have an idea which one I would keep, which one I couldn't part with. When I think about it, it's funny.
I want to know. From
You
the
thinking hard? Can
I
you
wanna-
share that?
I want to know.
Yeah, Perri's
I
getting
actually,
emotional.
I
I
want
am a little bit.
and I want to know from the silent one over there.
Yeah.
I want to know
The one on my wrist,
the one on your wrist.
a vintage Omega.
Okay.
I got it as a birthday gift, but I got it from someone special.
Okay.
And it's a person who, when I think about it, I wouldn't be selling watches if it wasn't for him.
Oh wow.
Okay. Then that's
And it was
the
also
right answer.
extremely random, unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I received it was, it was the most like, if you know this person, it was like the most it thing that they could do. It was just like, oh, hey, I got something for you here, bye.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, they're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it and I'm like, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they'll put it on. And I was like, another reason why I got it is because it was his personal watch.
Yes.
And he gave it to me.
Yes.
And also, he gave it to me on a red strap that he knew I liked, that I picked for it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it's not on that strap now is because it melted on a motorcycle. But that's a whole different story.
It
But
melted.
Long story short, I'm getting that strap remade. I'm getting it fixed by
Here we
Jean
go.
Rousseau, which you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier. They do the best straps, in my opinion.
So
I'm having it
agree,
remade so
yeah.
I can wear it every day on that red strap, because I used to get compliments every single day on the strap.
Yep.
And one of my good friends, Frank, who's a tattoo artist, literally was like, yo, I want to copy you. Like,
Yeah.
help me find that strap and, like, help me find a gold watch.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we
wow.
did that. So he has a red strap coming on the way for his watch, which if maybe we get him on the show later, I know he's going to bring up because it's, like, his favorite thing right now. So I'll let him get into that if it ever happens. But, yeah, this is the watch I would never get rid of.
Okay.
Beautiful.
How about you, man?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. The Elgin.
Do you need to be alone with your thoughts?
Maybe.
Yeah,
he
was
does this
concentrated.
all the time. Like, he sucks the air out of the room when he starts to speak.
It's. I would say, if I'm just thinking about off top, it's probably, I have this vintage Elgin skin diver.
Ooh, okay. That's a cool one.
And it is cool. And I think that one would probably be the hardest, because when I got that watch, I think I really discovered what I liked. And it was the first watch that I purchased there wasn't anything else going on in my head about like why I'm getting this. I was like, man, this piece is really cool. And I think I just discovered my taste. And I was like, I just really love this piece. And I would find myself, even to this day still, just kind of like picking it up and just staring at it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is such a cool piece. I'm also conflicted because I just shared an incredible moment with these two that helped me acquire a watch. And I'm a tough guy, but I got a little emotional, you know. And
You're
it was
supposed to.
Yeah, it was an emotional moment because it really cemented my friendship with these two.
Beautiful.
It really did, and the way everything happened, from the call to me coming in, and then these guys like sitting down with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like it was like the three of us, and this was like we made this happen. I mean, I'm getting a little emotional now.
Well, because it is emotional.
It
I mean,
is.
these things are emotional.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, before I get into that, I wanna bring it to your attention. When we shared that moment, I felt like we made it.
I did too. I felt like we made something.
we made it.
We don't know what it is, but we made it.
I was like, oh, things are getting very different here.
Yeah.
But I do want to share that part. But I think a timepiece that if I had to give up everything I have, and I have a lot of watches. Funny enough, it's a watch that I probably don't wear as often as I should. I'll share it on the next wrist check.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away, but I had the opportunity to talk to someone in a very, very high position of power, and I mean, he complimented me on my watch amongst everything else that he could have complimented me on. And the watch literally I got for $25.
Love it. The best.
And this is someone that's, held to high regard, someone that has global status, and literally was like, what is that you're wearing? And when I shared it, he was surprised. And then we got into talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, the stuff that we were comparing, of course, it was apples to oranges, because we're talking about, a $25 wristwatch to maybe like a $25 million car.
Sure.
Like we're talking like this capacity.
Yeah.
It was very, very powerful that, someone that has this kind of status actually enjoys something that is so simple to me. And I'll share it on the next wrist check, because I don't want to give it up. But
That's tomorrow.
yes. No, not this. No.
You mean next episode?
Well, the next episode.
Okay.
I want to share it. And it's a watch that I actually should wear more often.
I can't wait to
I'm
see what
curious
this
now.
is.
I'm
I'm
trying to
very
think what it
curious.
is.
Well, you should know it because you're the one that suggested the strap. Ben also,
I suggest straps for all y'all.
That's what I was gonna say. He yaks the watches.
He yaks the watches.
He yaks the watches.
Yeah, Ben's good at that. He's got a good eye.
He's
Yeah.
got a very,
Yeah.
very good,
He's got a
very,
good
very
eye.
good eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people really trust his opinion. I mean, we do it. So
Absolutely.
I mean, look at him. I wouldn't trust him.
Oh, I'm blushing.
Ben's the guy.
No, I know, and
Ben's the guy.
And I'm proud to actually work with people that are so passionate, because that's been missing from my life for a long time.
Yes.
And so to be able to end my career this way is really, really important to me, because it's about the people you work with.
Yeah.
It's about family. I have created a sense of family in my clients, but to have the sense of camaraderie and the sense of family with the people that you work with is really important. And I think in each store, there are certain people that you gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And the Soho store has a really rich family.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good group.
That's good. That's great. Man, we covered a lot. This was
we did.
amazing.
Yes.
I really enjoyed this.
Really did. Really
I
did.
am so incredibly appreciative
Oh, I'm honored.
of
Believe
you
me. Yeah.
to come on our show and share these wonderful stories and your collection. You've accomplished so much. I think you have a lot to be proud of. You are a legend in this industry. It's one of the reasons why we're so happy to have you. You are respected and appreciated. You're one of the people. We always talk about the people who were the first over the hill. This is you.
Yeah.
And you lived to tell. You came back over and you brought people with you. Because usually they get shot.
Yes. First one over the hill
So
usually
you
gets
got-
shot.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you. You
Thank
made it
you.
through.
Yes.
We adore you. You are incredible.
And you are over the hill.
So this is the end of episode 12.
Yes.
And this was incredible. I hope all of you enjoyed this. Again, you can find us on Instagram at WristCheckPod. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. We're on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and we are on Spotify video. So we're everywhere.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And it's growing.
Yes. Soon you'll find us in the metaverse.
Oh man, cut it out.
I don't think so. I'm out.
Cut it out.
I'm out of the metaverse.
And on that note, deuces.
Peace.